Hi friends, we would like you to subscribe and also press the bell icon so that you'll get the notifications from YouTube. Welcome back to Fountainhead Veda channel. I welcome Swami Muttranandaji.
Namaskaram.
So,
Anybody who can think is a Brahmin.
right, this is
Thinkers are Brahmin. So one of the finest thinkers India had recent times is Baba Saheb Ambedkar.
right.
Imagine he had got honorary degrees, doctorates at least 7 or 8. And what kind of a brain? He is not a Dalit. According to Vedic Vedanta interpretation, Baba Saheb Ambedkar is not a Dalit. Low caste. His guna, quality fits him into a Brahmin.
Correct.
But how he was treated, which made him rebel.
Right.
That treatment was bad.
Correct.
So we brought him, we said he's a Dalit by or
Right.
a Shudra or whatever by birth, Janma. It was never Janma. By Guna, he was a Brahmin.
Right.
To me, from what I have understood as Vedant, I would always see Ambedkar as one of the finest thinkers, Brahmin.
Right.
So all over the world, you need thinkers.
Right.
So if you don't use these 4 terms, there is no confusion.
There is no confusion.
You need thinkers all over the world. You need administrators all over the world. Good rulers,
Correct.
warriors are required all over the world. They have. So thinkers, warriors.
Vaishyas. I mean, one who but
Warriors, Kshatriyas.
Yeah,
warriors.
Kshatriyas, yeah.
Then comes men of commerce.
Right. That's what I said.
You need people like Tata.
Yeah.
You need Birla. You need Narayan Murthy.
Right.
You need these kind of Bill Gates.
Right.
Let us say all these kind of fellows are people of commerce.
Right.
So they fall into that category. You need. And then you need people who are workers. At every level you need workers. Some people can do work well. They can't be a thinker.
High thinkers. Yeah.
They can't be. So they are workers. This is no problem. But what we tried is we experimented once in the past. We tried this experiment. Like if a thinker marries a thinker, will this effect be on the DNA?
Okay.
If a ruler or a warrior marries another person who is of warrior qualities, will their progeny have the same quality? It was an experiment we tried. That experiment gave results.
Okay.
There were good results coming out.
Right.
The offsprings did carry, because through DNA various things can go. But through DNA, not just this quality goes. We do not know. If we are talking about DNA, each one of us will have
You said
2
million.
parents,
Yeah, more.
2 parents,
Yeah.
4 grandparents,
4 grandparents.
8 great grandparents. Now your DNA will have 8 people already,
All right.
compared to great grandparents. Further, so it dilutes. But it was an experiment we tried and we found some results. But anything when you try, you should know to stop. Now this is one of the biggest stupidities of humanity. We do not know when to stop. There is a time you play the game, and there is a time you retire from it. Gracefully. You should know to stop. In everything you should know to stop. If you come to a power, a position, a chairman of a company, very good. But you should know when to stop. You
Holding
become
on.
a trustee, you should know when to stop. We do not know, we do not want to stop. We want to continue. So this experiment was made of matching the genes and trying. It gave results, but then the results were getting bad too. We shouldn't have stopped, but we went on with it. We did not know to stop it. As a result, all this became by birth. What was by guna has become
By birth.
by body. The destruction of Hinduism started with it. So when these people today, some of them who are strongly opposing,
Activists.
saying strongly opposing, this is incorrect. We agree this is incorrect.
Correct.
Whatever rectification has to be made has been made. And what can show you way is only this. The pure Vedantic knowledge only can show you the way.
Right.
So they are not able to see the best of the Vedanta, and they only see one misconstrued
Right.
called jati problem, caste. So, you know, it's like what they are doing is something like this. If there's a fly sitting on your face, irritating your face, you have to just wipe it.
Right.
Push it, it'll go. Or you take a fan and you keep doing it, or sit in the air of breeze, it'll go. Or let's say a mosquito. A mosquito is coming and biting you.
Right.
All you need to do is tap it. You tap.
Right.
The mosquito is dead.
Right.
Don't throw a stone. Throwing a stone to kill a mosquito on my face would hurt my face.
Face.
That is what they're doing. Caste is such a small problem, we should tap it down and kill it.
Right.
But they're killing the Vedas.
Right. I understood.
They are opposing the Vedas, which is wrong. Vedas is not promoting the caste.
Absolutely.
Misused here and there, but there are enough reformers have come and enough masters have come. All those things are gone. Today anybody have access to Vedantic knowledge. It is given to everybody. From all backgrounds people can come and study, and the Rishi accepted everybody, including Gayatri Mantra. If you say Vishwamitra, look at the misnomer in the world. Gayatri Mantra must be chanted only by Brahmins.
Correct.
Vishwamitra himself is not a Brahmin.
Right.
When you go by Jati, and if you take Vishwamitra, to me Vishwamitra is a Brahmin. By Guna.
Guna.
But when you are calling today, when we are debating on it, when you talk it as Jati, he was not a Brahmin.
Right.
So the mantra itself was given by somebody who is not a Brahmin, according to today's brand fixing. So we should understand that this is something which is open and which was universal, and world needs this. For us to make us feel we are one whole family, Vedanta has to come back. I think with the present government bringing this up clearly, I think more or less people will accept. Some will resist. We should not give too much importance to the resistance, because we are marching forward. We have survived 50,000 years. We have survived all kinds of onslaughts, and we are still there. Hinduism, Hindu philosophy is still there. So it will move forward. If those who want to come with us, wonderful. Those who do not want to come with us, we will still pass through them, they can join.
Right.
Those who oppose, we will still move forward over them. So this is something which people have to understand. We are completely universal, and this needs to be brought back. I think with the present kind of a thinking generation,
Right.
if things are rightly
Perceived.
expressed and taught, people will take to it. For it to be rightly taught, it has to come into your curriculum.
Yeah, that's precisely.
Because otherwise outside the school nobody is going to go and learn. Because in the past, our education system had both. We call it Paravidya, Aparavidya. Aparavidya is the worldly science. Astronomy, astrology, all that come under Aparavidya. Ayurveda, everything is Aparavidya, and Paravidya is the knowledge of the Supreme. So secular and sacred has got no religion there. It is open, it is universal, has to come inside.
This was the question I was about to ask you, Swamiji. Now, I think you have brought a lot of knowledge to me, or enlightenment to some extent. I'm saying when we say it's so universal, and why are we then labeling it Hinduism as a religion? Why are we doing that? The questions may be coming.
Because Hinduism has no founder.
Okay.
Neither one book.
Right.
We call it Sanatan Dharma.
Right.
It is now called Hinduism. Sanatan Dharma and Hinduism are same. Right. Now you call it Hinduism. Earlier it was Sanatan Dharma.
Right.
What is Sanatani? A most ancient way of life.
Right.
A wise way of living.
Wise way of life. Lovely.
That's how we were living.
Right.
Okay. Now, then came Gautam Buddha.
Okay.
One man who was a Hindu became a Buddhist. I mean, there was no Buddhism before Buddha. After enlightenment, he declared Buddhism and gave a book called Dhammapada. Buddha became the founder of Buddhism.
Right.
And Dhammapada became the book.
Right.
Adinath was there even before Buddha. And Mahavir established the 24th Tirthankara. Then it became Jains. Adinath to Mahavir became the founders. They put those 24 Tirthankaras,
Right.
and then this one. Then came Sikhism. I'm talking India. Guru Nanak came.
Right.
And it went on up to the 10th Guru, Guru
Right.
Gobind Singh. Then it became Sikhism. So if you say who is the founder, Adinath, Gautam Buddha, Guru Nanak, Jesus Christ, who was a Jew.
I remember.
Jesus is a born Jew.
Jew, yeah.
He's not a Christian.
Right.
He was a Jew. Then they crucified, he was still a Jew.
Right.
Okay, Christianity came after him. So who is the founder of Christianity? Jesus. Islam, Muhammad. Now when you have a single founder and one book, you are separating yourself from the rest.
Okay.
You understand?
Right.
I am following Muhammad
Yeah.
and Quran is my book. I am following Jesus, New Testament is my book. Or I am following Moses, Old Testament is my book.
Right.
I am following Guru Nanak, Guru Granth Sahib
Guru
is my
Granth.
book. Adinath to Mahavir, Jain Sutras.
Right.
Gautam Buddha, Dhammapada. Now, one man, one founder, and one book. When I am restricting myself, I am following this person and this book, I have ignored everybody else.
Right.
So, who created these divisions? One man, one book, one man,
Sure.
one book. When these divisions came, the rest which was existing without any division,
Right.
what do you call them?
So they are
They
invading.
called us Hindus.
Oh, okay. Those who are not following that will become Hindu.
Those who are not following all of this were one bunch of huge, beautiful population,
Right.
happily living, became Hindus.
Right.
Otherwise, earlier we were Sanatana Dharma. When these divisions came, we who had no division is now put as one.
Right.
It's like modern day, na? What these new generation guys go around claiming as free thinkers. So, when did you become a free thinker? You ask that guy a question. He must have been born Hindu, Christian, Muslim, something. And then he says, I don't belong to any of them, I'm a free thinker.
Right.
You get married. Okay. So, by temperament, you will prefer another free thinker.
Right.
Now you have a child. Where does your child fall? Free thinkingism. So you now you understand. I don't belong to everybody, so I have a name called free thinker.
Right.
Now free thinker has become a label.
Yeah.
You understand?
Right.
So when these individual founders, one religion and a book, when it came, the rest which was universal became a sect in their eyes, not from our eyes.
Right.
From their eyes, we became a sect, like them, it became organized religions, various things came up that way.
Yeah.
We were not like that. So that's why a religion, if you take, Buddhism is a religion,
Right.
which has got a founder and a book. Jainism has got a founder and a book. Sikhism, founder and a book. Islam, founder and a book. Christianity, founder and a book. Hinduism, who's the founder? Who's the founder of Hinduism?
Really.
There's
no
no founder.
source. That's it.
There's no founder.
Yeah, some source. God.
So which book?
Yeah.
Which is the Hindu book?
Can we say Bhagavad Gita? I can't
No,
say.
Bhagavad Gita is 700 verses in 1 lakh verse called
Yeah.
Mahabharata.
Yeah, Mahabharata.
Before Mahabharata, there were no Hindus or what?
Yeah, that's what.
The Ramayana was there. 2000 years before Mahabharata, Ramayana was there. Rama lived. So we go back to Vedas.
Vedas,
And
right.
how was Vedas? Vedas were once taught only verbally.
Yeah.
So that Vyasa only classified it. Otherwise it was a verbal tradition
Right.
handed over. Now you understand, we were free, without any limits, without any labels, living a beautiful way of life which was evolving every human, all accommodative. Every human from unicellular to the highest. We showed the way to go. But when a person breaks out and saying, I don't belong to this, I am separate, I have a founder, I have a book, then they have classified others too. That's why Hinduism is like science. Who is the founder of science? There's no founder of science.
Yeah.
Which one book belongs to science?
So nature one gets in.
No. Collective books.
Collective books.
Different people's observation collected together is science, book of science. Okay, you can't say Einstein is the founder of science.
Right.
No, he's not, definitely not. Because science existed before him. Darwin, no, much before him. So if you go that way, science is a collective knowledge.
Right.
Collected together is called science, which has got no founder.
Right.
That means every thinker, every scientist has an opinion to put, and he has a right to refute the earlier thought.
Right.
And if he is successful in refuting it, intellectually other scientists are convinced by his observation, we accept him.
Right.
So who was the founder of Hinduism? There's no founder. What are the books? Vedas. Who wrote the Vedas? Not one rishi.
As many.
Collective.
Right.
So collective rishis' observations are recorded, in which I have a right to refute.
Right.
I can say, no, this I don't agree. I don't agree with this. This is what I feel. I have a right, and if I am able to convince that generation of thinkers, intellectuals, my view is taken into. Or others can debate me and saying what you're saying is the shortcoming in your observation. This is not correct.
Yes, somebody has
So
a knowledge.
we have the freedom.
Yeah.
You understand, to add, to think and to
Right.
add. So Hinduism is just like science, collective thinkers.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is collective thoughts, and there is a big advantage in a collective thinking. You can refute,
Right.
you can change. If it is one person, you cannot, because the founder is dead and gone. You can't change one word. If the earth, if people think the earth is created in 7 days, the universe is made, like for third day the sun was created, and the seventh day, you can't refute it today. Or if you say, earth was flat, come on. There's somebody pointing it out saying, no, it's round. You can't, because it is one man. If you give authority to one person, that cannot be refuted afterwards.
Sure.
If it is collective, you can always refute.
Right.
You understand? So Hinduism is collective. That's why people came. Time to time, people came and said, this old order we need to change. This doesn't suit. Let's change a bit here. We retain the philosophy of universal oneness.
Right.
We retain the philosophy that every living creature is nothing but divine.
Right.
But practicing time to time, we were changing, and the masters who came time to time changed. There was a time when we said this should be taught only in Sanskrit. Another time we said, come on, now you can teach in every language. The rishis and all the masters who came of the recent times are talking in different languages.
Right.
So you see, these changes are allowed, because these changes are made at Smriti level, not Shruti level.
Right.
Shruti is one Upanishad, one divine, the entire universe is one divine, everybody is nothing but a divine, we are one family, all this is Shruti, that you cannot alter. Smriti can change. Smriti can change time to time. The masters who come at each time will change the Smriti, saying this is applicable today, so let's follow this. So we had also in Smriti level changes were made. Different practices we had. Child marriage, we changed it. Women education, we changed it. You understand? Widow remarriages, we changed it. These are Smriti, not Shruti. Shruti will not even talk about all this. It is too mundane, too insignificant for Shruti to even comment.
Yeah.
See, even for the rishis of enlightened person anywhere in the world, even nation becomes nonsense.
Absolutely.
Because how can he see one nation and two separate? In his vision, the whole world is one. So, what is the Lord you are worshipping? Vishwanatha. Vishwa, universe, Lord of the universe. Jagannatha, Lord of the Jagat. He can't limit to one country, one religion, because it's too insignificant. Because from the height of that vision. So Shruti stays there. Smriti will change time to time will change. So this clarity also has to come. For all this to happen, I think the more or better we get into the curriculum. Because outside the schools, people are not going to go and learn.
Right.
To learn another language, we're finding it hard.
Correct.
So we have difficulties. It's practical. How many languages you can go on learning? When you're not inclined to learn languages, because not everybody is inclined to learn languages. Certain languages we pick up naturally because we keep hearing it.
Right.
And certain languages which we are born with, we speak at home, we learn. So to pick up 4 or 5 languages, for some people could be very, very hard.
Easy.
For some people it could be easy. So outside your school curriculum, how will you go and learn this? So this idea has to come inside the school curriculum only.
In that only I had one question.
In that only people will oppose, we should still go ahead and do it.
In that only, what I was thinking was like Veda or Vedanta itself is very high level of learning is there is a perception. And second thing is Veda and Vedanta all are in Sanskrit. Now such Sanskrit to common language of that particular language to travel and reach people. It's going to be a huge exercise, right?
No. Vedantic thinking, thoughts, Vedantic thoughts, if you say, as Vedantic, or I won't even call Vedantic thoughts.
Okay.
I will say sublime thoughts, because Vedanta becomes a label.
Right.
Sublime thoughts of Tamil literature. What about the sublime thoughts available in Tamil literature?
Right.
Thirunyana Sambandar, what was his thoughts?
Hi friends, we would like you to subscribe and also press the bell icon so that you will get the notifications from YouTube.